Good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. I think it's the home run as we close off an amazing week of our business festival. We've had some fantastic speakers, workshops and panel sessions. And of course, we had our first virtual awards yesterday afternoon, early evening. So we're rounding it all off with our final keynote speaker, Larah Bross. When I thought of Larah and heard that she was going to be our final speaker, I thought, brilliant, we've got so much in common. My entrepreneurial career started many years ago with a sandwich shop in the West End of Edinburgh, very early 80s, when there were about 2 sandwich shops in the whole of Edinburgh. And then I read her biography and I thought, maybe not so much in common after all. This woman is supremely talented. I think we're going to have a really, really interesting hour to come. Just kind of flipping through some of the things that she's done in her biography. She's been an actor, comedian, been on Broadway, a filmmaker. She's been part of the Edinburgh Festival Fringe, worked in a Michelin-starred, our very own kitchen restaurant. And I could go on and on and on, but I think we would run out of time. And I'm sure that Larah will tell her story much better than I can. Really, really delighted to have Larah. It was interesting. We, our headline sponsors, St. James Quarter, we said, right, you can have that final slot of the week. Can you get us one of your big US retail brands, you know, some snazzy retailer that's coming to the St. James Quarter? And they just turned around and said, do you know what? We've got some fantastic talent, some local talent in Edinburgh, and we think it's more appropriate to shine the spotlight on what we have in the city. And they said, you have to have Larah. She's amazing, and I know that she's got some innovative things going on with them when they eventually open in June. So yes, we're going to shine a light on our local talent. I've just spent a couple of minutes talking with Larah for the first time. She's a bundle of energy and joy. Buckle up, because I think it's going to be a really interesting hour to come. I'm just going to say a couple of words at the end because it's Friday and I know everybody wants to get on and start the weekend. But we're going to try and have some Q&A. We did discuss it. But Larah says she may just keep on talking and there may not be enough time at the end. But I'm sure what she's got to say will probably cover any of the questions. But if there's anything particularly important or interesting that comes up, we'll try our best to fit it in. So I am going to mute and disappear and hand over to Larah.
Hello. If I can see this first slide of, there we go, I think we're coming. This is the title of my speech, The Whole 9 Yards. There's going to be quite a resonating theme throughout this speech, which is all about the whole. And I've broken it up into 9 different parts. So this is part number 1, which is the next slide. Stuck in the wrong hole. So there I was, stuck in the wrong hole. I graduated from theatre school in Montreal, where I grew up. And I got a job straight away working for Disney. They hired me because of this. And I opened up their cruise lines and I went and had a big career on cruise ships and entertainment. And that's where I met the Scotsman of my dreams. And you always hook up with someone that's got a porthole on cruise ships, because if you're a manager, you get a porthole. And if you're not a manager, you have to share a cabin with someone else. So even then it was about the whole. So yes, I met Mark on ships, and I then moved to New York because my friend got his play produced in New York, and he's like, come to New York. And I was like, oh, I don't know, but I did. I went to New York, and I fell in love with the city. I was like, I should have been born here. And I started to dabble in comedy, sketch comedy, and performed on and off Broadway, and really got into New York. I mean, if I don't need to sleep, I won't at that time when I had no children. And I think the city sort of, got the best of me, as it does to quite a lot of people. And Mark came to visit me once, 1 year on my last year there in 2006. And he was like, why don't you come to Edinburgh? And I was like, what am I going to do in Scotland? But I came to Edinburgh in 2006 for a visit, and I worked for the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, and there was a heat wave, and it just never happened again. And there, and Russell Howard and Tim Minchin were just starting out, and the city was buzzing. It was amazing. And then August finished, and everything, it was freezing, and there was nothing open past 11. I was like, what happened here? But I still loved the city, and I just liked being able to stand out as someone who I am, because I'm like everyone else. Well, I was like everyone else in New York, trying to sort of make it. And here I was, the short, loud Jewish Canadian girl. And I got a job in hospitality, as you do, because when you're an aspiring actor, comedian, you got to work in hospitality. So lucky for me, I ended up at the kitchen before their star, and I was blown away by. I was like, oh my god, it's like being in Hell's Kitchen. This is amazing. Chef didn't really like that though. Don't compare me to Gordon Ramsay. But it was, I learned so much from them about the importance of Scottish produce and brand, and how to treat your staff, and they're like the best. It was the best sort of introduction to being here. It was amazing. I then opened up a youth theater company, because I was like, well, I've got all these ideas. So in Portobello, where I live, I opened up a youth theater company, which I ran for 10 years to inspire the children, to inspire the youth. And this was going on. And then I started to get into sketch comedy at the Stand, and stand-up comedy, and everything. There were so many different things happening in my life. Comedy was great and I loved it, but I wanted to be here, and it's really tough to be there when you gotta put in your time, and I'm kind of impatient with that. But I had 2 kids, which still is lovely. And then I decided I was going to go back to uni, because things weren't happening fast enough for me. I wanted movement, I wanted progress, I wanted to be somebody, and I thought, well, I know I'll get into production of film and television, and then I'll sort of work my way in like Keanu Reeves. But I just was, because I'm quite confident I was able to be on the camera a lot, I ended up just doing a lot of that. But I still started, I got the knack, I made some documentaries, won a couple of awards, the university awards, as well as some other awards for the documentary that I made on my parents, and then hooked up with the Documentary Institute. And I was like, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to be a documentary maker. This is great. So everything that I got into, I thought this is what I was going to do. And then the university suggested that I apply for a PhD, a fully funded PhD that would back my documentaries, and they would allow me to really pursue comedy and documentary and women and in the industry. And I thought, well, this is great. But I went into that that boardroom with a whole performance ready for them to apply for this PhD. And I think they were looking for more of like an academia approach. So it wasn't for me. So that was the biggest rejection that I had been faced with, I think, in my life, because I was ready for this to happen. Cue to the next slide. So this is what this big rejection sparked on the idea of, what am I going to do next? I had nowhere else to turn. I sort of, was like, well, I guess I could still do comedy, and but it's not really going anywhere. And what am I going to, I'm still doing theater, and I guess I can, it was sort of all over the place, a little bit messy. And I always wanted to have a cafe or backpackers or something, but I never pursued it. And I thought, well, this is the perfect opportunity. Why don't we just open up? I said to Mark, my Scotsman, why don't we open up a little cafe, that I can sort of be in from 9 to 3 while the kids are in school, and we could sell bagels, because there's no bagels here. And that was the idea. Like, it was an afterthought. It was just like, oh, and we could sell bagels. And 6 weeks later, we opened up Bross Bagels, and it was I have no business background. That was, it was I've worked for businesses, but I've never ran a business. So I needed some money in order to get a place to, I don't know how, I'm not a baker. I love bagels. I've always loved bagels, but I've never, never made them. I had never made bagels before. So I thought, well, let's make some bagels at home. They didn't turn out so well. But I had this real romantic vision that we were going to open up this cafe that's going to sell bagels, and I'm going to bake the bagels in the garden every morning at like 4 o'clock in the morning. And then I'd take the bagels to the shop, and then I'd sell the bagels, make some coffees, and speak to all the people. And I thought this is a great idea, until one morning, it was like 2 weeks into the 6-week timeline. I woke up and I'm like, oh my God, I can't do that. I'm like, why didn't you tell me this is the worst idea ever? And everyone's, because we can't tell you anything. You have to figure it out for yourself. But thankfully I did. Thankfully I figured it out for myself. So I then had to quickly figure out how we're going to get bagels, and there was no bagels. So we needed to start looking for bakers or a bakery that was going to be able to facilitate these bagels. So after researching a bunch, we found Breadshare, and we thought we loved their ethos, and we loved what they were about, and we approached them, and they were up for it. But I had to describe to them what a bagel, Montreal bagel, is, and they were asking me all these questions about about the bread itself, and I was like, I guess it has holes. It's like, well, how is this? How's that? I'm like, I don't know. So I had to get my mom to FedEx me some bagels from Montreal. And she's like, what, are you crazy? That's like $100. I'm not sending you bagels. And I'm like, oh, but Mom, it's really important. Really need you to send me bagels. So I finally convinced her. She sent me 2 bagels, FedEx, 2 lonely bagels from St. Viator Bagel, which is my favorite bagel shop in Montreal. If you're ever there, once we could travel again, you must go and see them. It's what inspired all of my bagel dreams. But so she sent me some bagels. The bakers ate them in front of me, which was horrible. And they got so much out of that, but they needed to make them organically, because that's what they were about. So they were taking my Montreal recipe that I had got, and they were using the taste, and then they were going to turn that into this organic recipe. And then through trial and error, back and forth, we finally got to this product that I was happy with. And, we got to the 6 weeks. Thankfully, the people that I needed to get the money from, which was Business Gateway, Transmit, they asked me to do a business plan. I asked them how. They also asked me to do some research. They're like, well, you need to know who is your competition. I'm like, well, there's no other bagel shops. They're like, okay, well, what is Greg's doing? And, what's the meal deal? And, how much is this? How much is that? So it's great that they made me start thinking about that, because I would have honestly gone into it completely blind, still a bit blind. But so all these important business procedures that I should have. It's kind of good in a way that I didn't start thinking about these things. If I knew about the risks, if I knew about, if I was worried about them, I don't think it would have been as successful as it was, because, I would have never gone for it. I just went for it, and I didn't really care. I didn't look back. So we found this little shop in Portobello, and I wanted to open up in Portobello because that's where I had the theater, that's where I lived. I had the backing of the community already. I knew so many people, and I thought, what a great little town to start a bagel shop in. And it's right next to the school, so it would be perfect. 9 to 3, fill some holes, make some coffees, and done deal. And that would be that. And then write some comedy on the side for the nighttime, and go and do some stand-up, and then everything would be great. That didn't really happen, but at this time also a friend of ours, Esther Clayton, who is a designer, started lecturing us on the importance of brand design, and the experience that you need to have. You're not just going to go into the shop and have a coffee and a bagel. You want to feel like you're somewhere, and it's all about the brand, and it's and letting that resonate, and being clear with it. And I don't think she thought we can do it. So she stepped in, and she became our brand designer, and she has made the brand. Anytime you see a hole, you think Bross. So that's thanks to Esther. and a little bit of me saying whole every 2 seconds. But that first day that we opened, August 1st, 2017, I don't even know what year it is. We were excited. You know, we had a press launch the night before. We had a press launch because I'd worked for the kitchen. So I was like, oh, we're going to have a press launch because that's what you do. You know, and the foodie establishment was like, no press came. No, why would they? We were like a tiny little sandwich shop, you know, throwing a press party, invited everyone. I was like, maybe not. We had a bunch of friends that came. We're standing outside in Portobello High Street drinking fizz. And it was like, this is great. I was so excited for the next day, slightly hungover, and did not expect a queue all the way down the street with people desperately wanting a bagel. So that's when I thought, I'm really gonna have to do this now. Next slide, please. A whole new world. Now, the first major problem that I encountered with running an actual business with zero business experience was that I had zero business experience. But I did use everything that I had and everything that I could muster. This started to go really well. And all I knew to do was use what I had, which was my energy, my humor, my personality, enthusiasm, my passion, and using my contacts, you know, going to Tom Kitchen with all of my bagels and be like, can you try this, you know, and what do you think about this? And allowing him to send me his suppliers and calling everyone, you know, I knew for any kind of favor that I could, because I needed to. That's all I had to depend on everybody else because I didn't really know what I was doing. But this didn't really help me figure out how to do a projected forecast or create a cash flow. And I mean, I came from a world where a credit card was like free money for me. Like, what debt? Do I have to pay this back? Like, it was never, you know, that was the world that I came from growing up and never really learned about how to budget. But the hard part was educating Scotland on the bagel culture. I grew up with this. You know, this is part of my everyday eating habits, but I'd be working in the shop and someone would come in and be like, can I get a scone, please? And I'm like, sorry, it's just bagels. All right. So can I get a bacon roll? I'm like, no, it's just bagels. I said, what's a bagel? So it's like a roll with a hole. So basically, they're giving me less roll for my money. So I had a lot of that. And then I had a lot of people being like, oh, I'm not wanting any of that, not having that. And I'm like, well, just try it, you know, and I would give them bagels, try it. If you don't like it, I'll give you what you want, you know, and they would try it and they would like it. And next time they come out, like, I'll have one of them latkes, please. That's great. I really like that last time. I'm like, perfect, you know, and it was starting to work. And the word was traveling out. People were coming to Portobello, people coming all the way to Portobello to get their bagel fix. But I was managing a team of like 6 or 7 at the time, and I was working every single day in the shop. I was filling holes, I was dealing with suppliers, I was making rotas, I was YouTubing how to use a meat slicer. I was figuring out how to work a payroll, running a social media account that was growing faster than my whole. And I was trying to get home in time so that I could make dinner for Mark and our 2 girls. And it was all a bit of a whole new world. Next slide, please. Holy moly. So I started to get recognized as the Bagel Lady. And at first I wasn't sure how to take that because I wasn't supposed to be the Bagel Lady. I was supposed to be Larah Bross, Broadway performer, a comedian. And I didn't want to be the Bagel Lady. And I remember being at the gym one day and I was getting changed and I could sense somebody walking behind me this way and someone walking that way and this way. And then someone came around and she poked her head and she's like, you're the Bagel Lady. I was like, yes, yes, I am. She was like, hi, pretty good bagels, by the way. And I was like, thank you very much. And it sort of dawned on me that I am the Bagel Lady. I am the Bagel Lady. And this was my opportunity to embrace being the Bagel Lady. And this was sort of around 2018. The shop had been open for 9 months, and Breadshare had given us an opportunity to go in with them to open up a bakery in Leith, the bottom of Leith Walk. And everybody said, what are you going to do? Why are you opening up a shop at the bottom of Leith Walk? Like, that's like the worst place you can possibly imagine. I mean, it was like the Ritz after Portobello. So we opened up the bakery, and you got the real. I thought, well, let's do it. This is going to allow people to have the real bagel experience. People are being able to come in, see how the bagels are being made, see the bakers taking out the ovens, smell of fresh bagels. I mean, this is the whole experience. The whole experience. This is what we want. This is the dream. So we went for it, and the queues were endless. I mean, weekends, people were waiting. I couldn't believe the amount of time people were waiting for a bagel. But they were happy to wait, and they were happy to wait. We were energy in the queue. We were pumping the music. Everybody was, happy, taking pictures of the place, and it was the experience. It was the brand, the Esther Clayton brand experience. Then Ben and Jerry's got in touch. They were just, hey, can I speak to Mama Bross, please? Hey, Ben and Jerry. So they wanted to do a collab with bagels and ice cream and call it Ice Bagels. And they had searched far and wide past London, where they were running the collab, and found us, a bagel shop in Edinburgh, and they loved the idea of having our bagels and their ice cream together. So we made some bespoke pink bagels, a little bit smaller than what we do now, that worked with their ice cream. And then they ran this in their Soho shop, and had our brand out there. And I mean, it was a very surreal experience. It was during August, during the Fringe Festival. We were slammed. I was crying in a corner upstairs in Leith Walk shop. We were sending bagels out every day, wrapping every single bagel singly so that it wouldn't get hurt, sending them to Ben and Jerry's. We're like, are the Ben and Jerry's bagels gone? Yeah, they're gone. Next day. So it was crazy. It was mad. And then the Grace Dent review came out. I think before this, the Observer Food Monthly came out as well, and Tom Kitchen had brought our bagels to London to put them in front of a judging panel, and we got put into the Observer Food Monthly Awards. And from that, Grace Dent had heard about us, and she came to the Leith Walk shop to try some bagels, and no one recognized her. But thankfully, she had the best experience ever. In fact, I just want to frame the Grace Dent review or laminate it and wear it as like my bling. So I could just it's like my pass, be like, yeah, thank you. I don't need to do anything else with my life. I remember someone texting me and saying, did you read the review? And I had to stop my car and read it, and I couldn't believe what I was reading, because it was the best possible outcome. I mean, go on our website, you'll see it. It's sort of the first review that you see. But two things that she said in there, which I'll take to my grave, that she came to Edinburgh to review Michelin star restaurants, and a week later, all she can remember is the bagel she ate in the Leith Walk shop. And she said that Brick Lane Bagels in London have been making bagels for over a century, and they didn't see Larah Bross coming. Oh, thank you. So it's like, it's done. Like, I don't even have to finish the rest of the speech. Pretty much we could just end on that, but there's more. The press started to say Edinburgh's Bross Bagels, which was huge for us. We felt that Edinburgh was behind us. I started to get asked to do business talks like this, and I don't know anything about business. They're like, oh, that's so refreshing. Tell us more. But it was refreshing. It was this refreshing. I mean, I'm winging it, but if that's refreshing, then that's great. Social media was taking off. Our image, our photography, Mark, who's my partner, who is also the Scotsman, who is also our photographer, is a food photographer who did all of Tom Kitchen's food photography. Small circle, full circle, whole circle. he, as you can tell on our Instagram account, if you've not been on, get on there, follow us, tell all your friends to follow us. But look at those pictures. If they don't make you want to come and feed your face with a bagel like nothing will, they're beautiful pictures. And it's all about the image, and it's all about the brand. Thank you, Esther. And it's about our fresh approach to marketing. Take a little sip here. I feel like I'm stumbling. Also available on our website. Kiera Mcallister, who is a fellow comedian, and someone who convinced me to start doing stand-up, and who you see in a lot of our Bross Bagels adverts. He writes all of our adverts, and he was doing stand-up at the time for over 20 years, and he started getting recognized in the streets. It's like, oh, you're the guy from the Bross Bagels advert. He's like, oh my God, I've been doing stand-up for 20 years, never recognized. Look, you the guy from the Bross Bagels advert. So we knew it was working. You know, we knew the brand was starting to be recognized. It was, the whole was spreading. Next slide, please. A whole different set of problems. So we opened up the West End shop because, well, the opportunity fell on my lap. Someone came up and said, do you want the shop? I was on Queensferry Street, in the middle of all the offices. How could I turn that down? I was like, it was a perfect little shop. Yeah, let's do it. Catering order after catering order. We needed more space. We needed more space to facilitate this space. We were borrowing kitchen space, renting half kitchens. Our demand was way bigger than our capability to produce, and I couldn't afford to hire anyone else. So I became every role, and I worked my ass off. Exhaustion, stress, no time to appreciate where I was. So I decided to open up another shop. But this one was meant to solve all of our problems. It was Bruntsfield, the old subway on Bruntsfield Place, and which yesterday was just featured in Elle magazine. As you guys want to pick up a coffee, page 182. Personal mention for Mama Bross, thank you. It's a pretty huge thing for us, but a beautiful picture of Bruntsfield shop in there. So this new shop would offer us a place where we could start baking in-house. We had thought have a huge prep kitchen. We thought use a catering kitchen and space, which would generate more cash and allow us to grow. But by the time we opened, we were so busy to do anything else except for fill holes. So the big plans got pushed aside and just botched it again. And we continued to keep being a bagel shop, just a sandwich shop. And the question I got asked a lot at that time was, don't you think that you're expanding too fast? But I had no time to answer that because I had holes to fill. So, but you know, this was my game face, you know, at the time, and this is confidence. You fake it till you make it. And I couldn't go back. I had to just keep going. But on the inside, I was shitting myself. I don't actually know what I was doing, and the sandwich shop, this idea, was turning over 1.2 million. It's pretty intense. Next slide, please. Finding my whole self. I think my biggest problem is not being able to sit still. This is a miracle. Hence another shop that opened up in Stockbridge, which made 5 under 3 years. And I never processed what I accomplished. I think the first time that I actually appreciated everything that I've done was when I reread the long bio that PR had just sort of written for me, and I just cried because I was like, oh my God, reading something that someone else sort of wrote about myself and everything that has been done in the past 3.5 years is like, it blew my mind. I don't have time to, or I don't allow myself the time to appreciate that. But at this point, in the whole 9 yards, with 5 shops under my belt, I started to believe that I can do this. In fact, if anyone is able to do this, it's me. I was born to do this. I don't need business school. Sorry for the business graduates. I'm sure you didn't waste your time. But I started to understand that Bross Bagels is successful because of me, because we don't take the standard approach to running a business. It's refreshing, and it's getting people involved in the lifestyle and knowing Edinburgh is backing us, rooting for us, taking selfies of them eating their bagel on the bus, eating their bagel in a bath, and tagging us in it, tagging their friends in it, saying things like, I'm craving a Bross. We're a craving, this is amazing. And just also knowing that people get my humor, most of the people, my sarcasm, my light approach to marketing. It's everything, and it gives me the drive to keep going. This guy from Ottawa, Kettleman's Bagels, he came to visit us in Edinburgh, and he also does Montreal bagels. He's from Montreal, but he has a Montreal bagel shop in Ottawa, and he was like, wow, the stuff you get away with is incredible. What do you mean? It's like you would never be able to say fill your hole in Ottawa. But how else do you do it? So I finally get that I'm the best person to run this business, but my accountant might tell you differently. Next slide, please. How to share my whole with others. Now, this is the day I came up with shareholders. I got so excited I peed a bit. So this crowdfunding campaign, I'll let you watch the video, that our crowdfunding video, and then I'll tell you a little bit about the campaign.
Can I get your glasses?
You can't have my glasses.
Oh, they'll make me look more professional. Just can I?
You don't have my glasses. I need these glasses. I need them to see.
Do I look more professional now?
I can't see. I don't have my glasses on.
Hello, bagel lovers. Now, I know we've all had a very hot cut. I can't actually see. Oh my God, my eyeball feels like it's gonna burst into flames. I could see like COVID particles in the air with these things. Oh, how blind are you? What are you, half man, half mole? Take the glasses, I can't do it with the glasses. Hello, bagel lovers. Now, I know this has been a very difficult year.
Cut! Why are you using that voice?
I need to distinguish between Mama Bross, the Bagel Lady, and Mama Bross, the business lady.
And you think the best way to achieve that is by sounding like Mary Berry having a stroke?
Now, I know that it has been such a difficult year for so many people. So many people are suffering and still suffering now. Old people, NHS workers, hospitality staff, burglars. I mean, their industry has been completely wiped out.
Cut!
My Uncle Joe was a burglar.
Stop telling people that!
I wanted to tell you my personal experience. It was week 3 in lockdown, and someone I know comes round to my house to deliver a freshly baked sliced loaf of sourdough bread, just to cheer me up. Well, this bread changed my life. It was singularly the most disgusting thing that I have put into my mouth since spring break.
Cut!
How dare she burden me with her hobby? I mean, this thing looked and tasted like it had been removed from an animal during an operation. I told her to her face. I said, I don't care if you're my mother-in-law.
Cut! Sorry, I should have yelled cut a long time ago. It was just, I was too busy crying.
Oh, maybe that will help you see better, Helen Keller. That shitty sourdough sliced bread made me realize that now, more than ever, unless I want people to eat bread that tastes of their neighbor's repression and hate, now more than ever, Bross Bagels needs to expand, and I am giving you the opportunity to come into my hole.
Cut! That's disgusting!
I want people to look directly into my hole. Stare at it.
Cut!
Look, I want people to reach into my hole and surprise themselves with what they pull out.
Cut!
This is a personal invitation for you to become a shareholder.
Cut!
What?
A shareholder doesn't sound like someone who invests money in you. A shareholder sounds like someone you go dogging with.
There are so many benefits to becoming a shareholder. You get bagels, of course. You also get invites to VIP events and functions, and you get a candle, just like Gwyneth did, but this one smells like my bagel hole. What, no cut? you want to smell it?
So this crowdfunding campaign was intended to raise enough money so that we can get ourselves a big enough bakery to facilitate all the shops, but also up our wholesale game. And by upping the scale of the production, we would see the cost of each bagel go from 55p to 14p. And we can then say yes to all the hotels and restaurants and cafes that had started inquiring about buying our bagels. And then take it even further, get it into the grocery stores, send them to Glasgow, Stirling, Aberdeen, Wales. Wales needs their whole. We created a scheme that was more of a club, a bagel club that allows for members to buy in at £1,000 and receive benefits from being in the club. Every year for 4 years, you get £100 worth of bagel vouchers. You get invites to VIP events. You get surprise merch delivery. You get your name on the shareholders wall in the bakery. You get a bagel building session with me on social media. And you get to be part of the journey. So with Edinburgh backing the brand, we were offering an opportunity for them to be part of the journey. And amazingly, after 4 years, you get your money back. So that was the interest paid in bagels to the people that believe in us and not to the bank. So we set a target of 250,000. That is to end at the end of this month. And there's still room in our hole for you. We have raised a total of £103,000. We've paid for an amazing oven that has been producing killer bagels, so much better than they were before. And our bakery is ready to go. What we don't have is the garden. That's going to be an amazing family-oriented garden with barbecues and beer and film cinema club and collabs and pop-ups. So it's going to be great. And some furniture. Need some furniture inside the bakery as well, so that when the customers are finally allowed in, they can come in and sit down. So we had then signed a 20-year lease for this bakery building, but this was pre-pandemic, which was the old RBS Bank on Portobello High Street. And then we filmed this campaign, this Oscar-winning campaign video. And then cue pandemic. Next slide, please. Everything was going so well. And then everything shut and everyone cried and everyone gave up and some had no other choice. I mean, what else can they do? It was devastating. We closed on March 24th. And on the 25th, I went for a run and I started thinking people still need to eat. I mean, we're baking fresh bagels here. We can deliver this to people's houses. In fact, we can deliver the deli as well. And there was a problem getting fresh bread, everywhere. And we can save people with something even better than fresh bread. It's fresh bagels. And I was sitting on about £5,000 worth of food stock on March 24th. And I thought of a bagel bargain bonanza, which was the best idea I'd ever had. Except the website crashed because we got 12,000 hits in under an hour. And then our IT guy fixed it all up. And the same thing happened the next day. And it was me and 4 other people trying to figure out how we're going to package and deliver 137 orders around Edinburgh on that first day. And then the same the next day. So I started to think, I'm on to something here. If we can fill people's fridges, they can still fill their holes. People started to get excited. They're posting pictures of their sandwiches that they made themselves. I mean, I grew up with sort of deli in my fridge. I grew up by, standing in front of the fridge, eating out of the chicken salad pot while deciding what I want for lunch. But people were like, wow, this is amazing. I can make my own sandwich. I'm like, yeah, go for it. I will take the novelty. But, the biggest problem with this delivery thing was that I had heard, Tesco had spent £2 million on their website and we're still experiencing delivery problems. And I had my ops manager on dispatch from her dining room on a shitty laptop, and she was WhatsApping route finder to our 2 drivers. You know, I mean, but we were still getting it done. I mean, we revamped everything. We deconstructed all of our specials. We took pictures of every single item so that when you're scrolling through the Bross Deli, you look at those pickled red onions and you go, oh yeah, oh yum, I want to fill my hole with those pickled red onions. And then the collab started. I thought that, you know, with all the chefs in lockdown at home, not doing anything, we can post them some bagels and then they can fill it with their restaurant speciality, and we can then help promote each other. We got Mark Donald, we got Roberta Hall, we got Tom Kitchen. Our bagels made it to London, and then suddenly all the foodies started taking an interest in our social media. And then the deli grew, and then our postal service grew after the Sunday Times review came out, and expats nationwide wanted their whole. Lockdown number 1, 2, and 3, we continued to adapt at every restriction that got thrown at us. Then Waverley Mall proposed a deal that I couldn't resist. This was before the second lockdown, as a temporary venue that saw us invite big names of local restaurants to guest chef in Bagelland. And that was another one of my like 3 a.m. ideas, but it worked, and it was something fun and something positive. And if that's one thing that we needed to do throughout this entire pandemic, was be positive. And that's how we'll be remembered, hopefully. Next slide, please. A Whole New World, number 9. So I was just going to sing like a Disney song for this one, you know, full circle, start with Disney, end with Disney. But you guys don't want to hear about Princess Jasmine's Whole New World. You want to know what is in store for Bross. The bakery, like I said, we're working on the garden at the moment. So we need this shareholders campaign. We need it to be shareholders. We need more shareholders in order to complete this and to get ourselves out of this pandemic, and welcome people into Bagelland again. So we're going to be finishing off that garden and the bakery. And we've launched the dark side of the whole, which is an evening menu. It's Bross after hours, where you get Bross burgers, Brossage rolls, which is like a hot dog in a hot dog bun, but the hot dog bun is bagel dough. I know, it's genius. Welcome to Scotland, home of the Brossage roll. So that dark side of the whole, which is Friday and Saturday. So tonight you could come and collect the dark side of the whole, or you could get Deliveroo or just eat if you're in the radius. This is like an evening menu that was also going to be available at St. James when that opens. Come to that next. But this is going to be like an everyday thing. But at the moment, we're just doing Friday and Saturday nights. We're testing it out. We're seeing how it works. And then, of course, the big, huge, amazing venture that we're about to undertake with St. James Quarter is the new Bross Deli. It's going to be amazing. You're going to walk in. It's all about the experience, right, Esther? It's all about the experience. You're going to walk in, and it's going to be like Harry Met Sally, but it's going to look a lot better. That diner is going to be, it's the same feeling that they had when they looked at each other, but it's just going to look nicer. We're going to have booths all along the windows, floor to ceiling windows. You're going to see this deli with this open kitchen, pastrami, vegan meats, salt beef, bagels, challah, everything. I mean, it's going to be the food that I grew up with, this Jewish deli offering that just doesn't really exist here. But I mean, you sit down at the booth and you're going to get like pickles smacked onto your table. What's this? Thank you so much. I'll have 10 more, please. The kids menu is going to be incredible, because I want the kids from Edinburgh to grow up and then come back when they're older and be like, oh my God, you got to come here. This place. It's got the best shindies in the city. You got to come. This is what I want. I want to be part of of them growing up. And then I want to become, you know, the institution that I have when I go back to Montreal and I go, God, we got to go to Schwartz's, and I take my visitors and I bring them there. I'm like, this is what used to happen when I was a kid. So I want to be that. I want to be that deli, but it's going to look, wait till you see the plans, guys. It's going to be amazing. If you need to film anything and you come to Edinburgh and be like, where do we film this? It's going to be St. James Quarter. It's going to be the deli in St. James Quarter. And we're right next to the residents as well. So they're going to come out and get their bagel fix and their coffee. W Hotel. I think I'll just get some bagels. Bagels for everyone. Okay. Wait till you see it. That's all I got to say. What do I want? What's the future hold? What do I want to aim for after St. James? I mean, what more could I possibly want? I'd like a bagel factory. I'd like Bross FM and Bross TV. So if there's anyone listening out there that does radio and TV, sign me up. I'd love my own cooking show. I mean, you know, I still have those dreams, but I can mold the Bagel Lady and the Larah Bross lady, you know, come together and have a nice cooking show. Fill your hole with Mama Bross. But I think the main thing that I'm working on at the moment and that I see for the future is my new life coaching program. It's called A Whole New You. And I'm going to show you an advert on how you can sign up to my new life coaching program.
Are you ready for lockdown to lift? Or are you just going to stumble out of the house like the UK left Europe? Unprepared, socially isolated, smelling of stale fish? My new life coaching program, A Whole New You, will take you through all the steps to make sure that when you leave the house, you re-engage socially with confidence. And by confidence, I mean getting drunk in public again. I'll take you through steps like what to wear, how to start a conversation. So who here still washes their groceries before putting them away? Anyone got a real hankering for banana bread? Is it just me, or does anyone else find face masks really sexy? So the vaccine is mini robots inside your bloodstream. How to eat in public. Oh, no thanks. I've already eaten. How to flirt. I'm clean. A Whole New You will make sure that you can get back out there and impress your friends for those 20 minutes and takes until everyone gets too drunk to care. Don't get stuck in a hole. Be the hole. A Whole New You.
So yes, you can sign up for my life coaching program. Thank you very much for listening to my, under an hour, 50 minutes. There we go. The whole 9 yards. Thank you.
Actually, I'm not sure I can even speak at the moment. I'm laughing so much. I think that must be one of the best keynote speakers we've ever had. And I think I've had lots of comments in the Q&A confirming that. I think that's a big thumbs up. Bravo, I think, from Joe Goldblatt. And Katie Banham is saying, I've just choked with laughter on my tea. Thank you. So that was absolutely brilliant.
Thank you.
You definitely are the bagel lady without doubt. And I think what you talked about, the brand experience, I think I said earlier in the week, to me, brand is that authenticity. It has to have a heart and a soul. You can't just, I know your friend Esther, she probably drew your logo and came up with the design, but a brand is way more than a design and a logo. A brand is that heart and soul. You can just tell you live and breathe, and that authenticity comes through. So absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much. I think we do have time for some questions, if that's all right with you.
Yeah.
So let me think. I think Karen Towler, she has asked, I'm sure we can answer this in spades. She wants to add more pizzazz and personality to her brand. I think you've answered that, but can you kind of give a quick view on, people shouldn't shy away from that. I think she sounds like she's a bit nervous. I'd say go for it.
Yeah, I think that's the best thing that you can do. And that's what's going to make your business stand alone. And it's what's going to differentiate between every other business, because everyone else can open up a bagel shop. But why is mine going to be different? And it's because I'm giving it me and my personality, and what can I offer it? The story, of course, but I'm Jewish, I'm Canadian, but all these things are resonating within my brand and my story. And I'm allowing that to be visible. Whether it be on social media or, maybe you start a blog, or maybe you, whatever you feel comfortable basically doing, that's going to allow you to sort of give a little bit more of your personal touch to your product. I think that's, it's super important. For me, I am sort of the face of the brand, but you don't necessarily have to be, if you're not comfortable being, public face, you can still be able to add your personality through other things. Your product, and something, maybe if it was a food item, something you grew up with, something that's, a tradition in your family, and write about it and post about it, and allow people to understand the backstory of it.
Brilliant. I'm just looking through questions are coming in thick and fast now. Louise Masson from Harvey Nichols, General Manager of Harvey Nichols, how do we get a link to join the club? She also says fantastic and brilliant way to end the week, but how does she get a link?
So on our website, brossbagels.com, there's a crowdfunding page. Is that what you mean, the Bagel Club? Yeah, so there's a crowdfunding page. You hit on there, and there's a couple of choices for you. We also have a corporate shareholders thing available. So if you wanted to split your vouchers up amongst your staff, you can do that. And we also, it's a corporate thing. We'll put your business up on the shareholders wall as well, and you can sort of split the prizes amongst your staff, or we can do some catering for you. We're kind of we're being as flexible as possible with this.
Brilliant. Another question from Paul. I always get your name wrong. Sorry, Paul. You've been such a supporter through the week. Paul Skragatic, I think it is. Apologies if not. Amazing talk, he says. Amazing experience to hear. Good luck with St. James Quarter. But he also asks, how do you remain focused on the most important things to do every day?
I guess I have like a list. I have, I keep like important stuff on my phone as like a calendar, in my calendar, but I never finish what I'm doing every day. I'm constantly, I'm like full of like energy, and I don't know how to relax. In fact, the best thing about lockdown was, that we couldn't travel. So it was like we had the nice weather and we're in the garden, and I was like, this is nice, it's because we didn't have the stress. Like when I would go on holiday, I'm in the past 3.5 years, I'm so stressed out that I have to relax, and I'm just like, oh, I have to relax. And I'm just like, oh, it's like, so that's like, it was so nice to be able to just like be at home and not have to relax. So I don't get through it. I don't focus. I guess I don't focus as the answer. But I get as much done as I can in a day. I'm still doing quite a lot, within the company, which I'm hoping to now sort of delegate. We've got some great new people on board, and I think this is going to help with my focus.
I guess you can't be creative and structured at the same time. I think that would be a schizophrenic combination, really, wouldn't it? Might be an opportunity here. Nick Peel, managing director of St James Quarter, he's just, well, two questions. One is, what's your favourite bagel? But he's also said, talk to us about your radio cooking show aspirations. Great idea. We maybe can help with that. So there you go. But
Right.
back
So
to what's your favorite bagel?
So it depends on my mood. You know, I didn't have bagels for the 12 years before I opened up Bross that I lived here. I didn't have them, so I had a lot of time, a lot to make up for. But it depends on my mood. If I'm having, if I'm like, you know, been for a run, I'm having some brunch. It's hot smoked salmon, hot kimchi sauce, and smashed avo, a little bit of rock salt. Amazing. If I'm hungover, I want a chicken parm, and I want it to be greasy, and I want it from Leith. So it kind of varies. And then, you know, we've got the Mama Bross chicken salad, which is it's named, it's my name on the thing, but it's my mom's traditional chicken salad. I grew up with this chicken salad, and I just didn't understand why it didn't exist here. You have Coronation chicken salad here, but you didn't have my mom's chicken salad, and so that's what I've put on the menu. Mama Bross's, it's called the Mama Bross. Highly recommend it. It's very popular. You got to get in early. Now this radio show, what my idea is, I would like to have celebrities or politicians or athletes, or we get just names. We get names in, and they come in, and we start bagel building. We look at not only just bagels, but we look at like the Jewish deli scene, and, you know, my traditional food, and making it modern, and exactly like how Grace Dent sort of reviewed us, and, you know, giving it that little Bross twist, which is great. So maybe cooking with this person who's never made this before, maybe you've never heard of a latke, and we have a little chat, you know, do a little cooking together, and get them to sit down in St. James Quarter and enjoy the lovely space around. Maybe a little studio above the deli would work out well. Little Bross FM. I mean, sounds like a good plan. No?
You're definitely selling it. I think that's going to grow arms and legs without doubt. Just looking at time, I think we'll go one more final question from Joe Goldblatt again. He has said, your phenomenal growth has been amazing. Are there any plans to expand beyond Edinburgh, and where might you go first?
Right. Well, thanks, Joe. I think I would, instead of opening up other shops outside of Edinburgh, I quite like the idea that Bross Bagels is exclusive at the moment. I want to let that sort of ride, and I want to be able to consolidate. We've grown so quickly, as I've just been through, that it'd be quite a nice opportunity to just see how it goes for a little bit after we open up St. James. Just, you know, let it sort of sink into Edinburgh. But that doesn't mean that we can't wholesale outside of Edinburgh. And I think that's the next expansion plan, is to get Glasgow to start selling our bagels, you know, the cafes and the restaurants and the hotels. Let Glasgow pick up on that. And then, well, I mean, they're begging for it at the moment. They'd love us for it to come, but at the moment we can't open up 6 more shops. They'd probably do really well, but I think we want to expand on the wholesale game and then see what happens. I mean, of course, if Naveen want to put us into every new development in every other country, we'd be up for that chat.
No end to your ambitions, and I think you got the energy to see it through as well. So brilliant! Thank you so much. The comments in the chat and the Q&A, I think you've just brought the week to a fantastic end. I don't know how many superlatives I can fit into one sentence. It's been brilliant. Fantastic week, a fantastic Friday, great start to the day. But thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Hopefully we'll see you again soon. Now we've kind of got to know you and see the energy you bring. We'll definitely be bringing you back. So wonderful story, and very much wish you good luck with the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I'm just going to close off. I did sort of have a couple of notes to make, and I thought some of them were a little bit funny, but I realised I can't follow you at all. So I'm just going to wrap up by saying what a brilliant week it has been. We've had 17 events across 5 days, and of course we had our wonderful virtual awards yesterday, where over 200 of our members joined us. By my reckoning, we've probably had just over 1,000 attendances, not individuals, because people have done multiple events, but we've had over 1,000 attendances this week, which just goes to show, you know, the need there for people to come together and really start planning for recovery. We've had fantastic panel sessions, some really good discussions, probably some of the best discussions I've heard on lots of these topics. We've had great chairs, real local leaders giving their time and experience to giving this leadership and direction to Edinburgh, really coming into recovery. And what's been really refreshing is the third sector is really leading the charge. And we had a wonderful email from Ewan Aitken, who was a winner through Cyrenians at one of our awards. And he just says there's a real sense that the third sector is getting parity with the business community. They're not just seen as something separate. You know, they're really getting parity with their contribution to the economy. So just a couple of highlights from me that I've picked up through the week. We had a great speaker, Graham Farrington, who's the MD of Innocent, the smoothie drink. They're a B Corp, and they live by their values. And one of the comments is, we want to use business as a force for good. And they've got a whole community of knitters who knit woolly hats. They started off putting woolly hats on the tops of their smoothie bottles. So they've got a whole community of people knitting woolly hats that they give out in the winter to older people. Fantastic sort of social connection. We had a great thank you from Stephen Cotton of Wright Johnson Mackenzie, who sponsored our Connectivity is Commerce. And right at the end, he used his prop, which is a bag of giant Cadbury's chocolate buttons, and said, look, they're unopened. Normally, I need a whole packet to get me through a webinar. And I didn't even open these. I was so transfixed by the discussion. We've had Anne Bamford on our skills panel talking about fusion skills for the future. And that, you know, what employers really want from our young people now are collaboration, problem solving, critical thinking, resilience, and that qualifications and interviews don't necessarily bring these out. I mean, I just imagine Larah going for an interview and absolutely nailing it. But, you know, the resilience that you've learned and all the things that you've dug deep to get out of you through these challenges, you know, sometimes you have to have a hard time to kind of find out what you're made of. So we've got to find different ways of evaluating our young people and getting them into the workplace. And then I think, apart from Larah's videos, which is absolutely the funniest thing I've seen in a long time, one of the things that I picked up as being immensely funny through the week was George Baxter, who's the chief exec of Edinburgh Innovations at the university, and he was put on the spot, and somebody said, come up with a really quick innovation idea. And he decided that a good way to use all these Amazon cardboard boxes that we all have piling up is to put a box down over your head and almost create a recording box. So when we go back to the workforce, the workplace, we can continue to have Zoom calls in our offices without disturbing everybody else in the open plan. So I thought somebody's got to nail that one. So it's just been a week of fantastic sort of generous giving, and I think you sort of nailed it as well, Larah, the humour that has come out of this week. It just goes to show it, even in sort of challenging times and the difficulties that people are facing, we've all managed to keep a sense of humour as well, which I think is really, really important. So just finally, I've got to say some thank yous. Thank you very much to our sponsors of the Business Festival. I said thank yous to the sponsors of the awards last night. So I won't go through that again, but sponsors of the festival, thank you very much to Skills Development Scotland, Wright Johnson and Mackenzie, Hee Haw and Your GB, Openreach, Royal Bank of Scotland, and obviously thank you so much to our headline sponsors, St James Quarter. You've really made this possible. Thank you very much to the team at the Chamber. Phenomenal job pulling this together. It started off as an idea back last September, October, when we thought everybody would be back at work, and wouldn't this be a great time to have a business festival and get everybody together again. And then we've pivoted into a virtual one, which actually has worked incredibly well. And hopefully we'll come back bigger and better next year. But also thank you very much for everybody who's attended all the events and joined us this morning. You know, it's a real sense of community and pulling together, and I think that's what really is great about Edinburgh. So that's everything from me. Thank you again, Larah. What an absolute joy to listen to you this morning. Very good luck. Thank you very much, everybody.